faithfully sharing insights, exploring great books worldwide. Hello, this is Sally Talks Books. In this episode, we'll dive into Bunin's novella, Mitya's Love. He won the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1933 and was the first Russian to receive this honor. Born in 1870, he was born into a declining aristocratic family and had diverse life experiences as a proofreader, statistician, librarian, and newspaper reporter. This fueled his creativity. From publishing literary works in 1887 until his death in 1953, he produced masterpieces for over 60 years. Among his works, Mitya's Love is Bunin's most famous. The 1933 Nobel Prize citation stated, "In Mitya's Love, Bunin masterfully dissects young emotions with comprehensive psychological insight." In this psychological mastery, sensory impressions and mental states are handled excellently, which is absolutely essential. The renowned Danish critic Brandes also said, "After reading the French translation of Mitya's Love, I was thrilled and amazed by its delicate analysis of love. I must express my admiration." Oh, to truly understand love, this piece is an unavoidable literary classic. A great novel always starts strong. The novel opens, Mitya's happy days in Moscow ended abruptly on March night, or so he thought. Why did they stop so suddenly on that date? We can't help but wonder. Yep, that opening is super captivating. And if you finish the novel, you'll see the start and end echo each other brilliantly. We'll cover that later. First, let's talk about protagonist Mitya's happy days in Moscow. The novel says, they met by chance and within days felt the greatest joy was chatting with each other. Even talking all day, Mitya never expected to enter it so fast. The mythical love world he'd secretly dreamed of since childhood. One was Mitya, a rural university student. The other was Katya, a drama school student. They clicked instantly. Oh, their love was glued together, inseparable. When love hits, personality, status, class don't matter. Just love wholeheartedly, hold them dear, cherish them, see them shine everywhere. They spent such a wonderfully beautiful time together. In love, Mitya's desire for Katya grew stronger and stronger. After each date, Katya would run to Mitya's dorm, and they'd engage in long, fervent kisses. Finally, they'd part ways. Whenever Mitya unbuttoned Katya's blouse, her youthful breasts appeared beautiful and sacred. Before Mitya, the heart-trembling tenderness brought him to the brink of ecstatic bliss. But their relationship never crossed the final boundary. Whenever alone, they knew everything except that one thing. And now, during such times, Katya's passion often burned even fiercer than before. The suspicious Mitya, while intimate with Katya, sometimes felt a chilling, dreadful sensation. Whenever Mitya and Katya expressed affection in every way, the outpouring of desire was so joyful and sweet, it seemed nothing was more sublime or beautiful. But just the thought that Katya might have done this with another man made Mitya instantly feel this affection was not only unspeakably ugly, but also inhuman. Oh, that was the most dreadful feeling. At that moment, Katya would provoke intense disgust in him. Love is so peculiar. The deeper you love, the more you want to possess the other, the more sensitive and suspicious you become, fearing they don't love you enough. We know everyone's an independent individual with their own understanding and pursuit of love. So once you delve into each other's lives, friction slowly arises. This is almost unavoidable among lovers, and Mitya and Katya were no exception. The novel starts with a small unpleasantness, and it foreshadows the character's later fate in the story. At the beginning, Mitya and Katya were strolling in Tverska Street's new park in Moscow. The cold winter had passed. Spring sunlight streamed down, white clouds floated, warmth filled the air, but nothing in the outside world was as wonderful as Katya. Enveloped in love's happiness, Mitya, surrounded, felt that nothing before him could compare to Kaya. That day, Katya was especially adorable, looking innocent, lively, and cleaning like a little bird. From time to time, with childlike trust, she'd hold Mitya's arm, look up at his face, and Mitya was so happy he almost became giddy. He walked with such big strides that Katya could barely keep up. Oh, if only they could stay silent. What a beautiful scene it would be. But they spoke, and as soon as they spoke, trouble arose. Katya suddenly said that Mitya laughed very childishly, which made Mitya a bit unhappy, because he felt that his girlfriend was implying he wasn't mature enough. But Mitya held back his thoughts. He also thought about how Katya seemed more sophisticated than him in many ways and was more skilled in life. So Mitya always suspected that his girlfriend might have experience in romance and luck. And whenever he thought about this, he felt uncomfortable and jealous, bringing up how someone in the theater world wanted to invite Katya to dinner. Katya retorted that it was impossible for her to give up art for Mitya. It was too stimulating. Oh, Mitya was shaken. Katya is clearly an independent girl with a strong passion for art. She won't give up her artistic pursuits for love. So, from Mitya's perspective, Katya doesn't love him that much. The way love manifests. On the surface, it's sweet, but on the flip side, it's jealousy. The lover can only belong to me. Anything or anyone that distracts the lover makes one furious. Mitya, gritting his teeth in hatred, especially wished Katya would stay away from that theater world he despised so much. Mitya was too worried that Katya might leave him because of her love for theater. Mitya had an ominous premonition, and it was indeed confirmed in reality. Katya's private drama school was having exams. She was incredibly busy and had no time to see Mitya. Mitya felt especially lost. Although he found many excuses to comfort himself, jealousy pricked at his heart like needles. Mitya wondered, was Katya getting too close to that drama school's principal? That principal was a lecher. His excessive attention to Katya wasn't just recent. Had he had ill intentions all along? And had Katya noticed but not thought to refuse it? Oh, it's unbearable to think about. One strange thing about love: the more you try to hold it tight, the faster it slips through your fingers like sand. Mitya's love for Katya was possessive. At first, this kind of love makes the other person feel exceptionally sweet. But later on, it gradually feels suffocating and makes one want to escape. A girl as independent as Katya naturally wants her own space to roam freely. The most fundamental conflict between them has surfaced. The more Mitya tries to possess her, the more Katya wants to escape. The more she escapes, the more he wants to possess. This vicious cycle will ultimately lead to tragedy. Katya passed her exams successfully, but to Mitya, everything Katya showed now was annoying, so affected and artificial. That vulgar tone she put on to please people was simply detestable. How could that angel-like girl be connected to that coquettish, frivolous, pretentious actress on stage? It's really impossible to accept this reality, but it's happening right before my eyes. It's just too heartbreaking. At this moment, Mitya's feelings were complex, intensely aware of his closeness with Katya, yet full of hostility and hatred toward her. Yet Mitya also felt smug, realizing Katya was still his, but simultaneously heartbroken, feeling she no longer belonged to him. Katya, being clever, saw through Mitya's thoughts. She said to him, "I don't understand. If you think I'm so bad, why do you still love me? What exactly do you want from me?" But love has no logic. On one hand, it brings unparalleled sweetness to lovers. On the other hand, their relationship is like a taut string, ready to snap at any moment. Strangely, though, Mitya felt his love for Katya didn't diminish. Instead, it grew with his jealousy. As they drifted apart, Katya became busier, more like a socialite debutante. Mitya could no longer endure this shame and pain. He decided to leave Moscow and return to his hometown. Only then could Mitya breathe freely. So a brief separation couldn't solve the problem, but it gave both space to reflect and settle. After all, caring too much suffocated them both. Just before parting, their feelings seemed to return to that initial happiness. Katya came to help Meet back, even accompanying him to buy luggage ties. Once Katya even cried. Tatya never cried. These tears made Mitya feel she was his closest kin, stirring strong compassion in him. Mitya felt sorry for Katya. The brief farewell seemed to save their love. Past conflicts hid beneath a sweet veil, with tears shed at the departure station. Mitya felt that everything about Katya was so beautiful, whether it was her cute face or her petite figure. Whether it was Katya's youthful innocence, her stunning charm and youthful vitality, or her sparkling eyes looking upward, all were so beautiful, so moving, so full of love. But alas, they separated just like that. The train started moving, and an unpredictable future began. Mitya thought they could still reunite in the future. He didn't know that fate awaited him with a dark abyss. Just like that, Mitya returned home with thoughts of Katya. Home is always our final refuge. Whenever hurt or sad outside, he always thinks of going home. In Bunin's writing, Mitya's rural hometown is truly breathtakingly beautiful. The novel describes when the sun moved to the afternoon, shining on the other side of the estate. Mitya looked out the window. The pale spring snow had turned a faint blue, and large white clouds floated in the azure sky above the treetops. Another day passed, and the sky, full of clouds, suddenly cleared, revealing vast stretches of blue sky. The bark glistened with moisture, snow melt dripped from the eaves outside the window. All this made Mitya overjoyed. He couldn't get enough of it. Away from Moscow's turmoil, away from the pain and troubles brought by his lover, returning home in the spring of renewal, the soil so fragrant, his family so warm, it all felt incredibly dear. And that girlfriend who made Mitya both love and annoy because of the separation, now in Mitya's mind, was no longer that pretentious actress. Katya was as beautiful as an angel, as pure as snow. Mitya loved this spiritually flawless Katya so much. Whenever he recalled, beautiful memories surfaced in his mind. Mitya took out a small photo of Katya, gazing at her heavily made up little face for a long time. Her frankness, sincerity, and slightly rounded bright eyes were so pure, flawless, and radiant. The more he looked, the more he loved her, and he decided he must write a letter to express that intense love. And Katya's reply made him ecstatic, so happy, so joyful. "My dear, my only beloved." Mitya repeated this sentence from Katya's letter over and over. The ground beneath his feet seemed to float lightly. What the heart yearns for will surely echo back. Katya's letter made Mitya feel his wait for love was validated. Everything he endured had value. Oh, human desire works like that. With the first letter, he eagerly awaited the second. For days, Mitya confidently awaited the second letter, feeling happy and even proud about it. But he waited and waited, yearning desperately, yet no letter arrived. Now Mitya grew more distressed and anxious. He tried to comfort himself with reasons, but it was useless. The torment deeply affected the sensitive Mitya. Mitya realized the letter would never come. It was impossible now. Something must have happened in Moscow, or was about to happen. Mitya felt he was finished, destroyed. A mother knows her child best. Mitya's mother knew her son was in deep distress. But Mitya's heart wasn't willing to open to his mother. He stopped noticing the changes the approaching summer brought to his surroundings. And although Mitya saw and even felt these changes, they had lost their intrinsic value to him. The thought that his girlfriend Katya might have abandoned him made Mitya suffer unbearably. People are like this. The more unattainable something is, the more beautiful it seems, and the more despairing they become. This despair, to a certain extent, becomes pathological. Mitya, as if mad, kept finding excuses to go to the post office to check for Katya's letter. but only endless sorrow awaited him. Actually, at this point, we see Mitya's personality is quite intense and impulsive. People with such a character love fiercely, hate thoroughly, and agonize to death over dilemmas. If no letter comes in another week, I'll shoot myself. It's no surprise at all that Mitya said such extreme words, and it sets the stage for what follows. To Mitya, the world was like a cage. Inside it, the more beautiful something is, the more painful it becomes. So painful, it's unbearable. Mitya swung between extremes, like a person without skin. Even the slightest setback caused him unbearable pain. It can be said that Mitya's tragedy was inevitable. He stopped going to the post office, stopped writing letters, and gave up hope for that impossible reply. He was disheartened and abandoned himself. Under the steward's instigation, he had an affair with Alyonka, the forest ranger's daughter-in-law. Oh, Alyonka looked just like Katya, and during it, Mitya felt he was getting revenge on the cold, real Katya. But after the affair, Mitya felt so gross that guilt and shame crept up, making him feel he'd done something unforgivable, wishing Kaya would forgive him. But no way out. It was done, and nothing could be fixed. Then Katya's letter came. Dear Mitya, don't resent me. Forget everything past. Forget it. I'm a faithless, cold-hearted, fallen woman. I don't deserve you. Yet, I'm crazy in love with art. I've decided and won't look back. I'm leaving. You know who with. You're sensitive and smart. You'll understand. I beg you, stop torturing yourself and me. Don't write me, not one word. It's pointless. This letter was a truly fatal blow to Mia. He now understood it was all over. Dark out with pouring rain everywhere. On the roof, the estate, around, the orchard. Mitya hid in his bedroom. Outside, his family chatted around the tea table. But Mitya couldn't join. A sharp pain hit his chest. So intense, heart-wrenching, unbearable, that he didn't think what he'd do or the consequences. He just craved relief, even for a minute. So he made an irrevocable decision. He fumbled open the bedside drawer, touched the cold, heavy pistol, and sighed deeply in relief. He opened his mouth wide, with joy of escaping misery, and pulled the trigger hard, firing a shot. The novel ends here. Now, back to the start. Mitya's happy days in Moscow stopped abruptly on March 9th. At least he thought so. Mitya's intuition was right. Like beautiful china. A tiny crack at first, growing bigger, shattering beyond repair, and Mitya paid with his young life. Oh, so tragic. Their love tragedy ended due to personality clash. Mitya too possessive, Katya with an independent soul, just unavoidable. The famous critic Stebun believes that Bunin successfully uncovered the love tragedy between two worlds as an entity rooted in human natural state, which truly hits the nail on the head. Beyond its excellent depiction of love, the novel's descriptions of natural scenery are absolutely breathtaking. Bunin infused that passionate, intense love into the natural landscapes found everywhere. In the novel, there's a passage like this. The unique, misty dusk of spring shrouded the earth, and through the open train window drifted the scent of rain, seemingly mixed with the fragrance of mushrooms. The trees hadn't yet turned green, they were still bare. But the rumble of the train in the woods sounded much clearer and more pleasant than out in the open fields. Ahead, the twinkling lights of the station were visible, holding the unique sorrow of spring. Such detailed, beautiful descriptions are everywhere in the novel. Nature in Bunin's writing is so beautiful it makes one sigh. The fresh-smelling white birches, floating white clouds, little flowers, blooming in fields, warm, gentle sunlight, jingling horse bells, all so vivid and enchanting. After appreciating this novel, let's discuss some anecdotes about it, one of which comes from Gorky. Everyone knows he's also a great writer, and he particularly admired Bunin. He once said that Russian literary history would be dim without Bunin, losing this lonely traveler tied to Russian culture, with rainbow radiance and starry sparkles in the soul. But it was also him who claimed Bunin plagiarized Tolstoy's Kreutzer Sonata, using Mitya's Love as the title. However, if you read both works, you'll find Gorky's judgment was wrong, because one involves murder, the other suicide. He rashly concluded plagiarism just because both novels had love-murder plots. It was indeed reckless. Another thing, the love in the book is strikingly similar to the writer's own love. In 1927, Bunin met a young female writer, Galina Kuznetsova, starting a fiery, romantic, yet painful twilight love. Love has a magical effect, making the writer rejuvenate and inspiring his creative passion. But Bunin already had a wife, Vera Muromtseva, and this crazy love affair brought her immense pain. Bunin, like Mitya, was domineering and filled with a strong desire for control. Galina Kuznetsova simply couldn't endure it and left him. This was a crushing blow to the elderly Bunin. He couldn't understand or forgive Kuznetsova's betrayal. Just like Mitya, he descended into near madness, becoming irritable and quick-tempered. Fortunately, his wife, Vera Muromtseva, never abandoned him, caring for him meticulously until his death. Think about it. Without Vera, might the writer himself have chosen the same end as Mitya? That's really hard to say. All right, that concludes our interpretation of Bunin's Mitya's Love. The program transcript is below the audio. We'll see you next time.